All right, cyber traders, we are rounding third base on the way home to this weekend. Great to have all of us back here this Friday afternoon, April 19th. Great to have Andrea with us here. Brian, just before I saw Susie, Alex, Grant, Abdul, Leda, all of our students here inside our live trading room. Just give me a quick sound check. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. And for all of us on social media, got the lower left popped up early this time at Cyber Trading You. If you are new to our streams or any of our social media platforms alike, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, that being at Cyber Trading You. Now, hey, I hope everybody has a great weekend lined up, exciting plans ahead. And if not, well, hopefully you can kick back and enjoy the warm weather at least, right? Heating up here in Florida. Great to have Ray, Herbert, Ron, Sam, Barbara, Roger, John, Mike, Abdul. And I will say, Sam, wishing you well on your trip. I know you'd mentioned to us earlier today he's actually taken off for a long trip towards Qatar, I think Bhutan, or no, Jordan and Istanbul. So for a month total, Sam W., one of our longtime students, wishing him well. Now, with that in mind, hey, heading into the afternoon, the SPY is pulled back. The SPY is down to where we thought it would come down to, and it ended up continuing to drop. Right, so the SPY is basically completed this gap fill that we had back from end of February. So I want to show this because really from like two weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, we've been alluding to this possibility. No guarantees, obviously, but where there's a gap on the daily chart here, my hope is to see this at least get tested, and then over time for a nice big old bounce afterwards. 497 and change was the top back from February 21st. And with that said, we've come down there as of this morning, not from yesterday, but even as of this morning. Well, we only end up driving lower so far. So, question is, can we see support begin to build over time? I was hoping to see a pretty strong rejection from that gap top there and to have the bounce. We still got time here heading into this afternoon. And hey, if we don't get that this afternoon, we still got all next week. So, just because it's below it now, that does not guarantee it's just going to keep dropping and dropping. Obviously, everything happening out there geopolitically with Iran, Israel, who knows what may happen over the weekend into next week. In terms of charting, in terms of support resistance, this is exactly what I was looking to see happen, at least. Now, the question is, can we get the support to build over time? Are we going to see higher lows into this afternoon? If not, that's fine. Can we see it Monday at least? All right. So with that in mind, we're probably going to follow a few different trades that go with the market here. Let me link my charts back up. And with that, CLSK, now at this point, the stock is dipping back down. We were talking about the Bitcoin halving event going into this weekend. Let me ask, is anyone new to Bitcoin? Anyone that is a crypto person nowadays that maybe weren't last year or the year before? Anyone brand new to Bitcoin or crypto altogether? If so, let me know. We got a few of us that have been with Bitcoin since like 2017. I know one of our students, Alex Henry, says, won't touch the stuff. Hey, no sweat. You don't need to, right? So, of course, CLSK is a Bitcoin mining equity. It's not, Bitcoin itself, of course, but we've traded this stock. We've traded Mara in the past on and off. So, Herbert, Mike, fairly new to Bitcoin. All right. Well, hey, really quick, folks, with this Bitcoin halving event, what you need to know is this: it basically reduces the available Bitcoin that's available to mine by 50%. And this event happens basically every 4 years. Well, the thing is with this year, with Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin is closer to its all-time highs by leaps and bounds going into this event compared to any other cycle beforehand. What does that mean? Well, I think long term, we're going to see a strong breakout across Bitcoin and all of these miner stocks. I mean, last week I was looking for this exact play on CLSK from 15. Right place, wrong time. That's all right. Still day trade this stock at least up and down. And, heading into the afternoon, it was actually trending up going into 2 o'clock. It was at the highs, but I wrote this earlier and, it's true. I mean, hey, for students like Grant, Leda, Jeffrey M., students that have been with us here, myself, for like a year plus now at this point, you've seen us trade these stocks at this time of the day in the afternoon. And I wrote to you earlier, I said this earlier here, I'm not too confident that the Bitcoin miners are going to actually run into the close. I've seen this movie too many times, right? And one of our students, Alex, he's been into Bitcoin for a little while. He's been with us for a little while too. And he said, you know what, Josh, you're right. These miners like the morning sessions, and the afternoon brings on their slumber time. Yeah, and even if they were at the highs like right now, they jumped off now. We're not going to follow them either way at this point. But even if they were at the highs, I'd be saying the same thing to you right now. It's like, these probably won't be moving too well into the close. So that's kind of my tidbit for the day here on two fronts. The Mara CLSK trades out there, they're definitely good for the morning. They're good for the early afternoon, maybe. They're not really good from this time of the day going forward. Now, with that said, though, we're obviously going to keep these on our watch lists going into next week, next month, etc. With this Bitcoin halving event happening, I just feel like we're not going to see such a perfect pop on Bitcoin when this halving event happens, like tonight into tomorrow. I think we'll probably get, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so of consolidation, and then a big old pop after. I'll be happy with that. A couple questions coming in the chat board. Nicholas L saying, I was in and out back in 2016, back in on it a little. There we go. He asks here in the chat board, do you ever place a trade on it at the very end of the day, like after a big dip? Well, after a big dip, yeah. Specifically at the end of the day, not so much. I mean, it's just more so to say, I follow Bitcoin long term and I day trade the miners up and down. That's basically my MO personally. That's really it for me. So I'll buy the dips for long term, and especially over the last like year or so, as we saw the drop down to 16K. I was looking for like support to build around like 2024. So I didn't get the low, but over time we've been accumulating and definitely looking forward to what's ahead. Now, hey, heading into the afternoon, CLSK, Mara. They're not looking too clean here heading into the afternoon. So I'll come back to these trades if we really need to, but what we'll do right now is go right from top to bottom, see if there's anything else that we could work with. TWG, this stock was a really nice trade from earlier today. We'd called it out in the morning session, and then it ended up obviously making this giant breakout heading into noontime. So I just want to double check here. I know my colleague Rich was all over this, Grant as well, our students in the chat board. Yeah, I mean, I saw Abdul get some good money on this trade too. Abdul had a home run on this, got like $1.50+ on this trade actually here. Ended up making a pretty good squeeze up over time, but again, this stock even more so because it's a new IPO. I think this is the third or fourth day of it trading. So we're not really too keen to trade IPOs out there. I mean, it had a nice run already. I think that we're done on this one for the time being. That's all. All right. Now, we said going into this meeting, one of our students was asking on another stock. I'm like, listen, I don't want to have that spread for my traders here, right? Like, we're not trying to gamble into the close, folks. If you're trying to do small shares, then, hey, you could do it for fun, right? You can do it for fun. We're trying to find a tradable stock, something that is easy on the eyes, not just in terms of price or trend, but also in terms of liquidity and order book, right? Have a tight spread, have something good out there. Now, as much as I say that, this did pop up, pulled back. Well, there's a case to see support build, right? As I've been talking in the last 30 seconds, I don't know if you folks noticed this right now as I'm talking. Watch the ask here. There is a fat iceberg order on the ask. I just saw it pop up before for about like 38,000 shares. It looks like someone's trying to drive the stock down as I'm talking. Oh, no. Had a good pop going into 230, and now it's back down to the VWAP price. You have like 10, 11K up here now even. I saw like 38K though. So, that's where we got to say we got to make sure we see support build, not resistance. It's a little discouraging seeing this drop now. I'll come back to this trade if I need to, but I'll keep seeing if there's anything holding better near the highs. This is the stock I was referencing earlier. If you're trying to play lotto, that's one thing. I'm going to go get my Mega Millions ticket later on today, but I'd rather focus on a stock that has a much better spread. That is all. Now, I got a few of us in the chat board talking about WISA, W-I-S-A. I will run into that eventually. I can only imagine. So, yeah, I'll get to that one in just a bit. If everyone's calling it out, I am sure the trend looks good. And the order book on it didn't look terrible earlier. So, we'll see what WISA is all about in just a moment. GBR up 29% at the highs. Hard to ignore that. This stock, though, I remember this. Watch this. I probably got to go back a number of years. Watch this. Ready? I'm ready. 10 years back. All right, check this out. Big spike here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I forgot the month and the year, but I remember we traded this stock a little while ago, back in 2021, pretty much from like, 230 all the way up to 31 bucks. Get out of here. Come on. I mean, that's a real move at the time, but look what happened after. It certainly made a real move back down, right? So this is not a swing trade. This is a day trade specifically. With that said, obviously, I'm going to put it on our watch list here. It's still at the highs heading into the afternoon. Spread's not too crazy, although for a $1.30 stock to be like 3 cents open right now, probably wanted to fill in even more, but we'll see if this GBR trade could do us nicely here. All right, so we got we got one stock to work with so far into our afternoon here, perhaps two now with WISA. Yeah, this one's looking pretty nice. All right, cool. WISA back on our watch list now. I was a little skeptical of this early this morning because of the news that came out yesterday, and we knew that that news was likely to come out. So the news that came out was like direct offering of shares, common stock offering news, for as much as the stock popped up. So with that in mind, obviously it ended up leading to a pretty good push. But once that news came out, it tanked the stock. And typically after that type of news comes out, we look away. We turn our heads the other way, just focus on other trades. So I got to say, this thing popped at the open. I was very skeptical. Now at this point, I'm not fully sold, but making a hell of a better pop now. I actually just blew the ceiling off of 8. So looking pretty nice here for the time being. Again, just make sure that you happen to see support continue to build on this trade, but very good shot from a trio of our students here. I'm just scrolling up right now, seeing them. I see Chuck, I see Scott, I see Sam and Grant, all on the WISA trade right there. There we go. All right, we keep it going. We keep it moving here. What else do we have? Oh, you know what? Oh, I know why. Jeez, I thought I did this before the meeting started. Haha, there we go. All right, filter my volume criteria here. Just weed out all that low volume stuff. Ooh, CXAI is not looking terrible, looking at the 1-minute chart. Now, the thing is on the daily, though, here, it's not really a healthy graph. Had resistance right around $3.43. As long as it could hold above that, perhaps there's a good shot. Perhaps there's a good chance to see this pop like the WISA trade did. So, you know what? I'll put it on our watch list for the time being. That's all. Looks good for now. Michael's saying, did I mention SOXL at the low of the day? I did not. We're only halfway through. But with that in mind, markets down, that would be down. That would be on the losers list, Michael. We got SOXS, though, on the way up. That's the inverse. So, of course, the markets are still pulling back for the time being. So, probably follow a few good shorts to work with here. And then otherwise, maybe you could follow a good trade like SOXS or maybe even cheaper, maybe even LABD. Now, this is not like a VIX. This is not inverse to the markets in full. This is an inverse ETF, but this is the biotech sector, LABD. So we've been trading this the last few days, like pretty much on. Not necessarily on and off. It's like pretty much just been on. We have been on top of this trade since like Wednesday of this week, still breaking up here. So yeah, this LABD trade I like even more. I like even more than like UVXY. I like this even more than SOXS or any of the other ETFs here. Wow, where the whole market's dropping off. You remember this trade? For all of our students here in our chat board that were with us, like, last year we had the, unfortunate situation, whatever happened in Maui, Hawaii, all that. So led to the big drop at the time. And this is an extremely similar chart to what we had back years ago, years and years and years ago with PG&E. Remember this? Well, look at HE here, right? I mean, it's fairly similar where it's taken this company quite some time to even try and make an attempt to bounce, and they only ended up breaking down more over time here. Well, today, at least this afternoon, up 7%, breaking above the drop off that we had back from, what was that, Tuesday? I'll slip it on our list. Doesn't hurt us here. It doesn't hurt. Hawaiian Electrics, see if that makes a dead cat bounce. Now, I saw Abdul, was it? I think Abdul was talking about PACB. Yeah, this one's not looking as nice right now, Abdul. Had a little push earlier today, but I'll pass on it here. Last one for now, DJT. You know my thoughts on this just with the order book. That's all, but there's no real trend to it here either way. All right. So in total so far, we got five stocks to work with, four ticker or five tickers to work with, might I say. Yeah, let's see if there's anything looking just as good here. All right, so probably find some ETFs here. Andrea asking about NVDQ. Well, that's the NVIDIA ETF, right? So I'd rather just trade. Oh, well, this actually has a decent order book with it. Decent order book, Andrea. I definitely like that. Um, yeah, it's an interesting thought, right? I mean, I think there's a few different single stock ETFs out there. Tesla, Nvidia, Coinbase are the ones that we focus on at least. So I didn't realize that this was pretty liquid. Got a good spread and all that. So you know what? Hey, I could absolutely put this on our watch list. I very well may. But let's just see if there's any stocks actually more on the way down. I know this is NVIDIA ETF, so it's an ETF, but it follows NVIDIA. So, I could definitely put this on our list at the end. Let's just see if there's anything else. A stock at least looking just as good. Speaking of, just for the time being, I don't know if I'll put this on our list just because I don't know how much more the stock will drop. But OCUL, this stock back from yesterday, it was a really good short, only seemingly continued to drop off when the market had opened today. So it's at a big support level right now at $5. I could put this on our list too. SOXL, market's dropping off here alike. So SOXS going up, this going down. Easily, I could put that on our list as well. I may. Honestly, when the whole market's trending in a certain direction, up or down, regardless, just you got to be just very picky at first and probably add a few at the very end. Just want to take a look at Netflix. We're not going to trade Netflix at this point, given the price. JBL's down. That's kind of a well-known company, albeit pretty expensive. So, all right. Anything looking good otherwise? We might jump back to that NVDQ from Andrea. We might jump back to SOXL, the chip ETF as a whole, not just NVIDIA, but the whole sector. IONQ down a little bit. That's a familiar name. Yeah, it's shortable, I guess, or easy to trending down rather, I should say. Instacart, it's not really looking that nice. MU. All right. So at this point, we're just going to put the chip sector on there, like SOXL, which is the whole sector there. Obviously, when I talk about Nvidia, I'm going to talk about AMD. Actually, really quick. Okay, so a couple of things with this. I'm going to put SOXL on our watch list. I'm going to put NVDQ, the one that Andrea mentioned, on our watch list, and of course, with that in mind, like Nvidia as itself, AMD as itself on our watch list. With AMD, I was looking for a SPY bounce earlier today. Obviously, did not get it. But with that, though, I was also simultaneously looking for an AMD bounce. Well, with the SPY, it ended up chopping around one of my levels. But with AMD, I was also looking for the push over 150. And across the whole late morning, it broke under it here. Okay, support becomes resistance. Okay, that's not surprising. And then after that point, it just held perfectly, and I mean perfectly, underneath this level. It goes to show you should never be buying underneath resistance. At least, at a minimum, wait for that level to get broken over. Look at this thing. Perfect resistance, and then a 4-point drop, 5-point drop after. Whew, jeez. All right. So now at this stage, obviously, all the chip semiconductor type stocks, Micron, AMD, Nvidia, we'll put on our list here at this stage. All right. So, hey, Nicholas, Andrea, Grant, Abdul, Dave, Rhonda, all of our students here in chat, definitely let me know now if there's anything else looking good. I actually had to reboot my book map, my level 4, so I'll load that up as soon as we finish up this meeting. TWG, not really looking too good there. At this stage, maybe I could take a look at that like UVIX, but this doesn't look as good as anything else that we've been following so far. NVDQ, that's looking pretty good on the way up. LABD on the way up, that's looking pretty good. Again, we might have a crazy stock out there that I don't want people to get caught up in because it's literally just a ginormous distraction to you. So, I'd rather us not gamble on a stock like this. We have easier fish in the sea to catch and both directions, up and down, right? We got easier fish in the sea to catch going both up and going down. All right. So, hey, let me know otherwise, folks. Sam's saying if tech is dropping, then LABD as an inverse tech should be okay. Yep. Put that on our list already. I went over that already there. It's on our watch list. It's making new highs. So, looking pretty good. Michael's saying XPON, yesterday's gainer is a loser today. Indeed, but again, it's another stock that unless if you can get the shares to short, it's just a distraction, right? That's where we say like, hey, GBR is going up. Let's follow that thing for now. WISA, all right? The more we look away from WISA, we're not going to be able to jump in on this if it decides to make the next push, especially off of 8. So I'll tell you what, I like what we got here to work with going into the afternoon. Actually, late chat right now. One of us on YouTube, joining us right now on YouTube. I appreciate you joining us there. If you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, might I say, scan that QR code on the top left just of the stream. Join us for a small week-long trial inside our live trading room. But to go back on that PACB, it's too slow. Not only is it too slow, but it's trending down right now. Trending down. So, we'll come back to that trade if it decides to show more life next week at any point. Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. We'll see. But sure does not look like Friday afternoon, right? So with that in mind, folks, hey, I got about like 13, 14 minutes. I'll be back on the mic just shortly after 3 o'clock, 3:05. I'll be back on just right from that point. I will mention to one of our members in our trading room who I don't believe they can hear me, but I will just say log out and back in. You'll be able to hear me coming up, especially by 3:05 Eastern time. But folks, hey, best of luck trading going into the market close. If you're not inside our trading room here, enjoy the weekend. We'll be back on the mic going into Monday. But again, we got another hour left to go here. And like I said, for all of us inside our chat board, I'll be back on at the top of the hour. Talk to you soon.